Whoo-wee! Listen, I probably don't even need to be telling anybody this. But you know, it's day 5 of our 90-day Bible study. Look, we're in Exodus 1:1 through 15:8 now. We left Genesis. But ooh-wee, this stuff here today, by the time you see this thing, I should be in a little bit better state. But right now, man, I feel like Superman flying around the metropolis. Now, did you read this stuff? Boy, if you didn't come out of this one feeling like one of the untouchables, you might want to just lay off this reading thingy and go back to watching The Housewives of someplace or something. I'm not saying that there's no hope, but if this didn't bring out your superpowers persona, whew, then I don't know what will. Listen, what? Oh my goodness. Let me tell you something. I can't even break off into this thing right now, because I was on the fast forward so hard yesterday that I buzzed right by a couple of things that I need to reach back and make sure you get packed into your travel bag. Otherwise, you'll get to some of these other books. And it's going to be kind of like showing up at the airport without a ticket. You know what I'm saying? You're in the right place, but you're not going anywhere until you get your ticket straightened out. Anyway, you know, we talked about how going all the way back to Cain and Abel, even though the firstborn was usually considered the heir, that somehow we've been seeing a lot of folk, you know, that got the blessing that were the younger son. Well, one case in point, of course, is Joseph. It doesn't take Columbo to figure out that Joseph was one of Jacob's favorite sons. And you know how old Slick had 12 of them by 4 different women. Whew. Anyway, 12. And Joseph was the 11th son, you know, the 12th child, but the 11th son. Remember Dinah? You know, she's the only daughter that her brothers end up killing a whole doggone city about. Now, I wonder if she ever got married. I doubt that. Whew. Anyway, before Jacob died, remember, he blessed everybody and everything. But if you notice, the blessing, you know, the one that passed down from Abraham, went to him. And remember, Jacob went on to bless Joseph's 2 sons. But the one that the blessing was to pass to was the youngest one, Ephraim. And when you read that part, you know, where Joseph said that these 2 boys belong to him now, any other, you know, sons that Joseph had would be Joseph. But these 2, they were going to belong to Slick. That way, nobody could get their backs all twisted out of shape about who got what. You know what I'm saying? And some of those blessings that he gave to the other sons were off the hook. Woo! Reminded me of Abraham when he gave everything to Isaac. And then he gave his other sons a little gift and said, get along, get along. Boy, especially. Now, for those of us who fall into a certain age category, you know what I mean? I mean, that little scene where Slick was blessing his grandchildren. Listen, that will get out some Kleenexes. Anyway, I've been trying to tell you this Genesis thing is just way too deep. But 2 more things. Before Jacob died, he made Joseph promise to bury him back home. You know, in that cave that Abraham bought. And when Joseph died, the Bible says, somebody say Bible? The Bible said that they buried him in a coffin in Egypt. But because of Joseph, all of Abraham's descendants now living in Egypt, they were living large. Boy, if you don't let me get out of this Genesis, there won't even be Exodus. Anyway, so that's where day 5 reading picked up. The Israelites, as they were now called, were doing really well and everything. And just like God had said, they're being all fruitful and multiplying and everything like that. And as people, you know, they're getting stronger and stronger. Well, by this time, the Pharaoh of Egypt, which, by the way, was a different king, and this one, he didn't know Joseph or who Joseph was, what he had done for the other Pharaoh. And if he did, he didn't care none of that. You know, kind of like when you and your boss have an agreement about the new position and raise, and then a new boss comes that couldn't care less about what the other boss had to say, you know. So anyway, this Pharaoh started feeling a certain kind of way. about all the Israelites that were hanging around everywhere, and he started thinking that pretty soon they were going to want to be trying to take over and everything. So he decided to have midwives prevent the Hebrew women from having any sons. But these midwives, see, they knew the God of these Hebrews and how he operated, so they weren't trying to do that. So Pharaoh called them in and got on them about it, asking them why they were still letting sons be born, And they told Pharaoh that the Hebrew women were having their children so fast that they didn't even have time to try to stop it. So Pharaoh told the whole nation, I guess he thought the midwife needed a little help, So he said any Hebrew son born would have to be thrown into the river. Woo-wee. Okay. So now I see what we're working with right over here. This couple, a Levi couple, a couple from the Levi tribe, they had a son after this order came down. And, the woman, she kept the baby and everything and hid it. And everything was going along pretty good, until that joker got around like 3 months old. Then he was a little too big to be hiding, So she bundled him up, put him in this little waterproof basket, and put him in the tall grass down by the river. Well, the baby's sister was watching what was happening when the mama put her there. And probably was thinking, a little puzzle and everything. Then she saw the Pharaoh's daughter came down to the river to wash up. And the daughter's maids found the basket, took it over to the daughter. And when she opened the basket, she saw the baby crying. And she kind of liked it and everything. Let's fast forward. So it ended up, the baby's real mama actually ended up taking care of the baby for Pharaoh's daughter until he was old enough to go live with Pharaoh's daughter. So Pharaoh's daughter adopted him, gave him the name Moses. And he grew up in this Egyptian culture, in Pharaoh's house and everything. And then he used to walk out and check on the people and kind of see how things were going. But he started noticing how bad his people, the Hebrew people, even though he was adopted in the Egyptian, by the Pharaoh's daughter, he was noticing how the Hebrew people, how bad they were being treated by these Egyptians. So one day he saw this Egyptian dude beating this Hebrew dude up. So Moses, he looked around and he could make sure he could see nobody could see him. He knocked that joke off and buried him in the sand. Are you kidding me? Well, the next day he's out there, checking on things, and he saw these two Hebrews getting into it. So he asked the one guy, the one that started the mess, why he hit the dude. This dude went on. He said, who left you in charge? And what are you going to do? Kill me like you did the Egyptian? What? See? I knew that wasn't going to turn out too good. So Moses hit the road, buddy. Can somebody please tell me, though, why it is that every time I think about this dude, Moses, I think about Forrest Gump? Did you ever see that movie? It seemed like to me he was always moving around, but never really seemed to be going anywhere any much, Anyway, Moses ended up in this place called Midian at a well. And this guy's 7 daughters came to the well to water the sheep. Now, there were some shepherds that tried to run the girls away, and Moses stepped in and watered the flock for them and everything. You kind of see where this is going, right? Boy, I don't know, but any dudes hanging around the water fountain around these days, you better watch them. So, anyway, Moses, he ends up going to this guy's house and marrying, you got it, marrying one of the daughters. What else? Man, these dudes in the well, I don't even know. So Moses, he kept the sheep for his father-in-law, Jethro. And then one day he was walking along, he saw what looked to be a flame coming out of a bush. So he went over to check it out, Now, you might need to go and read this part, because this part right here is where, your back and stuff starts feeling all tingly. Man, when God got through telling Moses that he was standing on holy ground and that he needed to go tell Pharaoh to release his people and that tell Pharaoh he was sent by the I Am, what? Boy, Moses got the doctrine, you hear me? God laid it out for him. All the stuff, how Moses was going to behave, what the Israelites were going to do, everything. Now God gave Moses, he gave him the full 9 on everything. Even showed him a couple things about the rod and the hand thing, and explained what he was going to, what Pharaoh was going to do, what God was going to do when Pharaoh didn't listen, see. So what happens then? You think Moses was finally convinced, right? No, not Moses. Moses started talking about how he can't talk, he's slow of speech, slow of tongue. How about just plain slow, Forrest? Man, this dude right here, he didn't have all these issues though when he was back there pushing that doggone Egyptian down under the sand. What is it with these cats? So God told him, that his brother Aaron could go with him and everything, and Aaron would do the talking and everything. Boy, I tell you, help me understand. Anyway, Moses, he went back and he told Jethro that he needed to go down, to Egypt, help his people and everything. And Jethro was cool with it. Then God told Moses that it was okay for him to return to Egypt because all the people that were looking for him were dead. You see that? So this joker was just worried about getting scrubbed the whole time. And God knew it. And was just playing along. So this Forrest Gump acting, boy, let's get up out of here. Anyway, so Moses, he went to Egypt and he confronted Pharaoh about letting God's people go and everything. And what did he do? Made things worse for the Israelites. It even got so bad that the officers in charge of the workers, they started feeling bad for the people. Then the people started feeling a certain kind of way about Moses because he only made it worse for them. So Forrest doesn't know what to do, so he goes back to God asking for some relief. So God told Moses that he's about to go and deal with Pharaoh. So God said that the people have known him just as a result of how he worked through Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. But now they were going to be about to know him as the I Am. Boy, I need a doggone seatbelt right now. Whew. Well, here comes the battle royale. And I don't even need to tell you who the winner is in this. But boy, the round by round on this is something else. Listen, it goes a little something like this. Ding! Round one. Aaron cast down his rod before Pharaoh, and it became a serpent. Pharaoh's men countered with the same move. Aaron's serpent swallowed theirs up. And God hardens Pharaoh's heart. Ding! Round two. Moses and Aaron, they smoked the water in the river, and the water turned to blood. Pharaoh's men matched Moses and Aaron's action. And Pharaoh's heart hardened. Ding! Round three. Aaron stretched out his hand over the water. Frogs come from everywhere. Hey, Pharaoh's magicians, they matched the feat. But, Pharaoh begged relief and said he would let the people go sacrifice. So Moses responds by moving frogs from everywhere except for the river. Pharaoh reneges, hardens his heart. Ding! Round four. Aaron hits him with the lice. All the dust in the land become lice. Pharaoh's magicians, they attempt, but they fail. They can't do that. So they acknowledge that this is the hand of God. But Pharaoh, he ain't moved. And his heart still hardened. Look, round five. Ding! God sends swarms of flies everywhere, except over the land where the Israelites stay. Pharaoh offers to, let them go and make sacrifice in the land. But Moses, he wants 3 days journey distance, right? Pharaoh agreed, but then Moses warns him, don't switch up on the agreement. So that flies are removed. Whoa, Pharaoh lied again. Look, I can't do this. This is just too much. This penguin acting dude over here, boy, this cat seemed to be enjoying pain. With all the other plagues that he's been hit with and more to come, this dude is insane. His own people are telling him he needs to give up. Stay down. Take the count. Throw in the towel. Something. Hoo-wee. So finally, God has Moses warn Pharaoh that all the firstborn in Egypt, they're going to die. Well, he also told Moses, though, that Pharaoh ain't going to let all these people go just on a warning. So he needed to prepare the people of Israel to protect themselves. Now, most of us, well, many of us, some of us are already familiar with the Passover. So you need to go refresh your memory if you haven't already about that. But finally, after God smote all the firstborn of Egypt at midnight, Pharaoh calls Moses and Aaron in and told them to get to stepping. Now look here. When you watch movies and everything, they try to make it, look like just the firstborn babies died. But this was firstborn, period. All the way from the firstborn of Pharaoh's family down to the firstborn prisoner and the cattle. Boy, are you kidding me? Get to stepping. Fast forward. I really hadn't hit that fast forward in a while. It's just too good here. But we're going to move straight to the chase. If you could call it that. You see, the Bible says that there were 600,000 men besides children and women, but and plus sheep and goat and cattle. And they struck out on foot. And then they were carrying Joseph's bones with them, so that people could, kind of, honor him and everything. But Pharaoh, see, he was already mad about, this firstborn thing and everything. Plus, his people were complaining because they didn't have servants anymore. Boy, you talk about priorities. Look here. Anyway, Pharaoh, he took 600 of his best war chariots and all the other chariots, and off they go. Man, when these people saw the crew coming, they laid in the forest something fierce. You hear me? Why in the world you bring us out here, all the way out here to die? I guess the graves in Egypt weren't good enough for us, huh? Now, God had already told Moses that he was going to make sure that all of Egypt knew that he is Lord. So Moses started telling the children of Israel, about stand still, see the salvation of the Lord and stuff, and that this would be the last day they were going to be seeing those Egyptians that were coming after them, and that the Lord was going to fight the battle for them, and they just need to hold their peace and everything. But God told him, boy, this forest come back and do right here. God told him, why are you crying out to me? Tell the people to get stepping, and you need to hold that rod out over the sea. And he'd been holding his grabby green hand so that the sea would divide and the people could cross. Boy, how many times do we do that? Where God has already given you what you need, and there you stand with your lips quivering and all that. Don't get me started. Hey, you know what they say. God willing, we'll see you tomorrow. You know the place, on your favorite social media platform. Check us out right here. And don't forget, tell your friends, tell your neighbors, FLCC, we're taking ministry back to the first love. Peace.